Hello everyone, in this video lecture we are going to see about direct memory access controller. So direct memory access controller 8237. First of all, we will find out the reason why we need a direct memory access controller. To transfer the data between the IO devices or memory, we use the software instructions to transfer the data. So which is a slow process, but if you could have a hardware device which can take care of this transfer of data, then it could be done at a faster speed. So for high speed IO devices like your hard disk or memory or a CD-ROM, so in those cases through software, if the data is transferred, it will be a very slow process. Therefore we are going for direct memory access controller. So the memory is accessed directly without the need of the processor. Okay, so accessing the memory directly without intervening the processor, that is the direct memory access. So to transfer the data from a memory to the another memory, we need the address bus, data bus and the control signals. So if these three are being handled by the hardware, then it could transfer the data without bypassing the processor. It can transfer the data and it can monitor the data transfer takes place between an IO or a memory or between two memories. Okay, so that is the work of the direct memory access controller. Now we'll see the various mode of operation of DMA, direct memory access operations. First one is byte data transfer. You could see the flow chart. The direct memory access controller asks for the address and data buses, then it transfers the data, then after transferring the data it releases the bus to the processor and it checks whether the device is ready or not. If the device is again ready, then it puts a request for the address and control buses, address data bus and control bus, and it gets the address data bus and transfers the data. Okay, if it is the bus data transfer, then direct memory access controller requests for the address data and control bus, then it transfers 1 byte and it checks whether the peripheral is ready to transfer another byte. If it is so, then using this buses it transfers the data and after completing all the data transfer it releases the bus. And in case of the block data transfer, the direct memory access controller access for the address data and control bus, then it transfers the data and it checks whether the peripheral is ready to transfer the data. Yes, when the peripheral is not ready to transfer the data, it waits till the peripheral is ready to transfer the data. So next we'll see the block diagram of 8237. So block diagram of 8237, it has got the control and status register. Then to transfer the data between two memories, it needs the address register, then the number of count, how many number of bytes data you want to transfer. So you will have a count register. So the features of 8237 is, we have seen that it could be operated in a byte transfer or a bulk transfer or a bus transfer mode. So it can be operated in various modes and each chip has got 4 independent channels. That means I can connect 4 memory devices to that, and even this could be improved by going for cascading connection. That is, you take another 8237, you connect it in cascade, then the number of memory devices that could be attached can be increased. Then each channel can be used in auto initialize mode. Auto initialize mode is whatever the things that is needed like address, all that it is predefined. Okay, it has been prefixed and it has been you can the direct memory access controller can, once the address and data buses are released, then immediately using this initial address registers it can transfer the data. Then fourth one, it can transfer the data between memory to memory, and even a single word could be filled up in an entire block of memory, which is called as memory fill. Okay, the entire block of memory will be filled with a single data, so that is a memory fill. Even that can be done. Then the address it could be either incremented or decremented. That is from 2000 to 4000, from 2K to 4K, the data could be written, or from 4K to 2K, the data could be written. So the address could be either incremented or decremented. And directly you can expand by going for the cascade connections. And after transferring all the data, it sends the end of process signal. So once this signal is generated, then it will terminate the DMA operation. Okay, so for these signals to be generated, we need the external hardware, because to transfer the bus from the processor to take and then to return back the address and data bus to the processor, we need some external circuits which can switch over these connections. Then the DMA request and DMA acknowledge bit signals, it can be initialized whether how it is to be, whether it could be an active high signal or an active low signal. Now we'll just simply see what are all the basic operations of a DMA data transfer. So whenever the device is ready to transfer the data, it asserts the signal. So now the processor, if it is in the process of executing a instruction at the middle, then it will complete that instruction and it will enter into the hold state by releasing the address and data bus. Okay, then DMAC becomes the owner of the address and data bus, and it will now transfer the data. After transferring the data, it will next releases the address and data bus to the processor. Okay, so this is the DMA registers. So you have got the base registers. There are 4 independent channels. So each channel has got the base register, then base word count register, then current address register, then current word count register, then some temporary registers, then status register is only one register, and command register is 1, then mode register is 1, mask register is 1, and request register is 1. So base address register. So each channel will have its own 16-bit base address register. It is a write-only register. Okay, so the value could be only written. It will hold the original value of the address during the entire operation of your DMA data transfer, and its content will not be updated. When the end of process is activated, 8237 transfer the content of the base register into the current address register for the auto initialize mode. Okay, so this register is written along with the current address register during initializations. Next, current address register. So each channel has got its own 16-bit current address register. This register will hold the address of the memory location that is to be accessed during the DMA data transfer operations. Okay, during each cycle, this is the address which gets updated, either incremented or decremented while transferring the data. Okay. Next, we see the command register. So command register is explicitly understandable. The LSB bit, if the bit value is 0, if the bit value is 0, memory to memory is disabled. Okay, so the memory to memory data transfer is not allowed if the bit value is 0. If it is 1, then it has been enabled. Next, the first bit, if the value is 0, then channel 0 address hold is disabled, else it is been enabled. Next, your DMA controller. So through software also you can invoke your DMA controller. So if the controller value is 0, then the controller is in enable mode. If it is in 1, then the controller is disabled. Next, bit 3, you are having the value could be either 0 or 1. If 0, it uses the normal timing. If it is 1, it will use the prescaler and it will transfer the data at a very faster speed. So that is the compressed timing. Then bit 4, it fixes up the priority. So if the value is 0, then it is the fixed priority, because there are 4 channels. Out of the channel 0 will have the highest priority. So either you have to go for fixed priority or rotating priority, that can be chosen up here. Then bit 5, it is late write selection or extended write selection. Okay, so external devices, when it has been writing up the data, so after a late, okay, after writing the data, just check whether the data is being written properly, verify it, then provide the signal. So that is your late write. Other one is an extended clock cycles to write up the data. Next one, it is DREQ, that is DMA request signal. So it can be either set up as high or low by setting up the bit value as 0 or 1. Similarly, the DMA acknowledgement signal can be set up either 0 or 1 by accordingly configure the D7 bit. Next, mode register. So this 8-bit register, it is helpful, okay, in picking up the channels, okay, and the mode operation. So you can see the bit value D1 and D0, it selects any one of the channels. So channel 0, channel 1, channel 2, channel 3. So there are 4 channels. It helps us in pick up any of the 4 channels. Then bit 2 and 3. Okay, so it is the verified transfer, that is after the transfer is done, it checks out byte by byte and it checks whether all the data is being written properly, none of the bit is being corrupted, everything. So that is a verified transfer. 01 is simply a write transfer, 10 is just a read transfer. Next, bit number 4, it is either auto initialization mode, you want to enable it or disable it. Next, bit number 5, the address either it should be incremented or it should be decremented. Then bit number 6 and 7, it selects the various modes like single byte transfer, okay, your block mode transfer, then burst mode transfer or cascade connections. Next we see about the mask register. So this is a 8-bit register. So with the help of this mask register, if you are masking any of the channel, then though the peripheral makes a request, it will not be considered. Okay, if the channel is masked, then the peripheral raising up a request, it will not be answered. Okay, so to mask it, we have got 00 means it is channel 0, you can mask it. If it is 11 means you can mask the channel 3. Okay, and for masking, for bit number 2, if the value is 0, then it is the mask is cleared. If the value is 1, the mask is being enabled. Next, request register. Okay, so in this request register, again it is an 8-bit register. So we have got the last 2 bits selects the channels and the second bit sets the value of the request bit or the reset bit. I used these 2 textbooks for reference. Okay, so whenever a peripheral makes a request, first the DMAC receives the request, it will send the whole request to the processor. So processor, it will release the bus and it will send the acknowledgement signal. So along with the acknowledgement signal, now the DMA controller will become the master of the bus. Once it becomes the master of the bus, it checks out its internal registers, address register, current address register, base address register, then the count value, all that it will check. Then it will transfer the data between the 2 memory. After completing the data transfer, when the count exhausts, then automatically at the end of process, your DMAC will send the interrupt request and then it will release us the address and data bus so that the processor can become the master. Okay, in which mode, which channel, how to configure it, that is all we have seen for this video lecture. Thank you.